Good morning, women in business. It's an honour to have been invited by Michelle to share some of my experience with you and my top tips on how you can be using your LinkedIn profile on a daily basis to attract more leads into your businesses. So this video is going to go out to all of the other groups as well. And because of that, I am going to not talk too much about Wiltshire, but I couldn't be in the Wiltshire group without telling you guys, girls, that I actually used to live in Wiltshire and I'm very, very fond of the area. So I worked in a place called Brook Street Recruitment Agency down on Commercial Road in Swindon, and I bought a really beautiful apartment in the old schoolhouse behind the petrol station in Highworth. So if there are any Highworth ladies watching this and you know my apartment in the old schoolhouse behind the petrol station, do say hello below. If you are watching this live, drop a little message to say hi. If you are watching it on the replay, then put hashtag replay in whichever group you are in. Thank you. So the reason that I got invited to come and talk to you today is because I have lots of experience in networking online. So the brief story is that I left England some almost 20 years ago, and I came to sunny Lanzarote, which is where I'm coming to you from today, to follow my parents who had retired over here. Now, at the time of arriving, not speaking Spanish, I did what all British people do when they arrive on an island like this, and I just took whatever work that I could get. None of my qualifications or my experience from my work history in the UK counted if I couldn't speak the language. So the jobs that I chose, or the jobs that I could get my hands on, were cleaning villas during the daytime and working in a bar at night. Now, we have this saying in our family, which is how you do anything is how you do everything. If someone could write that in the chat box, that would be great. How you do anything is how you do everything. So I was the best barmaid in the village. I was the best cleaner in town. And actually I realised that through cleaning properties really well, that there was a market for a brilliant cleaning company. And along with my mum, my dad and my husband worked over in Swindon as well for Nokia. So his experience didn't count over here either, but we decided that we saw a gap in the market for a really good English-speaking property management company, and we started one. That developed really well. We also then became a travel agency for villas in Lanzarote, and we started a pool and spa showroom. We decorated people's houses for them, we sold houses. All those businesses are still current today, by the way, in 2020 when I'm coming to you. Now, what I realised was that I needed to reach the customers ideally, so I needed to reach the people who had properties, or the people obviously that wanted to book holidays here. I needed to reach them in their thought process when they were just thinking about, and when they were just Googling for ideas on, who to use for property management, which villas to book for their holidays, where to go on holiday. So I realised that the way that I could do that is by advertising. And back then, I don't want to show off my age too much, I'm similar age to Michelle. Back then, the only kind of advertising that could be done was press and magazines. And if any of you have ever advertised in press and magazines, traditional style, not online, it's very expensive. And we were just a small startup company, and I didn't want to be paying for these leads. And that's kind of stuck with me through my whole career, really. I thought, if we can find a way to network with people in real life, then, we can find a way not to pay for advertising. But how can I network with people in real life when they were all in England and I was here 4 hours away on the island of Lanzarote? Back then, there wasn't social media, so there wasn't Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. Back then, there were forums attached to websites. I know many of you will remember these. So I decided to find the most popular forums for people looking to buy a house in Spain, looking to go on holiday to Lanzarote or the Canaries. And I found, some of the best forums, and I became the local expert in those forums. How did I do that? I did that by being the most helpful contributor in those forums, by answering everybody's questions, by being me and showing off my own personality and just being helpful and kind, and also supporting other businesses and mentioning them, truly networking within those groups. So there was no way that nobody would mention my name if somebody was saying, hey, where do I book a villa from in Lanzarote? Hey, I've just bought a villa in Lanzarote. Who can I get to take care of it for me? Hey, I want to buy a villa in the Canary Islands. Who should I talk to? My name was always mentioned. So that's how I grew my businesses. All of the clients were already ours before they came to the island. So we were that one step ahead of anyone that might consider to be a competitor. So when social media came in, the real social media like Facebook and Instagram and all those other platforms, and then in 2007 I started on, 2007 I started on LinkedIn. I did exactly the same thing. So I became the expert and the person to be called on for all of those things. So here's a question to ask you. Online, are people tagging you in things that they know that you can help other people with? So if somebody shouts out, for example, if you do accounts for people and somebody's doing a shout out for a local accountant, are you always the person that gets tagged? Are you always the first person that people think of when they are seeing somebody else that's looking for a service or a product that you provide? If not, then we need to work on making sure that you are. Now, sometimes people get very nervous about using LinkedIn. Everybody here is professional, but sometimes it feels a little bit like you're going into the lion's den, because in the past, LinkedIn has been a very male-dominated domain. It's probably 53% males still. And I don't know about you, but most people have this kind of experience of it being a bunch of kind of middle-aged to older men who are in their suits and their black and white pictures, and they don't want any personality. They're just there to hire or fire, or to beat their chests and say how great they are in their corporate roles, and that kind of makes some of us women especially feel that we don't fit in that environment. If you agree with that, please press, please write yes in the box, or give me your opinion on what you think LinkedIn is like. But it has massively evolved and changed in the last few years. But most significantly, over the past 3 months, when we had the pandemic, through March 2020 through to June 2020, it changed really dramatically. Why? Because people were working from home. And people were working from home, so they kind of had this more relaxed attitude. They had this kind of, if you've ever had a corporate job, or you remember school days when there was a non-uniform day or a dress down Friday, there's still a professional feel, but it's a bit more relaxed. So people working from home, people in a kind of dress down Friday kind of vibe, made LinkedIn a much more a place where much more personality was shown and where better connections were made, because the kind of stiff professional persona was dropped a little bit, and people themselves more. And when you are your authentic self, then people will begin to know, like, and trust you better, because they're seeing the real you. And if they don't like what they see when they see the real you, then they're not your people. So that's absolutely fine too. So LinkedIn is the one to be seen, to be heard, and to become the local expert, or the online expert, the global expert, if you want to be, in whatever it is that you do. And now is the best time to go in. We've also got stories come in, so much like Instagram stories and Facebook stories, which are highly effective in business, because it allows people to see you on a day-to-day basis, to get to know, like, and trust you, and to see the behind the scenes, which is what we are all desperate to see in any business, because we are a nation, we are a population of people who are nosy and want to see what's going on in people's lives. We only need to look at the success of reality TV to know that that's true. So Instagram stories and Facebook stories are great. They are coming over to LinkedIn. Some countries already have those because they are tested in different countries. There is also the facility for live, which has been rolled out to some people, and LinkedIn are being very choosy about who they give the live facility to right now, because they do want to maintain particular standard, but that will soon be, you'll soon be able to go live on all of your platforms. So right now it's the time to get in, to get some roots in, and get ready to embrace the new changes, and to really utilize this platform. Now, how to optimize your profile and turn your boring old CV style profile into a lead generating sales page. So I'm going to share with you my top tips for doing that. And the top tips are very similar to other social media platforms, with the exception of one thing. LinkedIn is a massive search engine. It's owned by Microsoft, who push out more content to other places than any other platform. And it can be used as a search engine to search for the people that you want to work for, the magazines that you want to be in, the podcasts that you want to star on, the TV shows that you want to work behind or on. Everything that you want, you can find with the search over on LinkedIn. And then you can learn how to engage and communicate with the decision makers of all those things. But here are the two things that are the first two things that I would say. And that's your profile picture. Your profile picture should be the same when you are building your business online. It should be the same across all of the platforms, or very similar in a similar style. If you have a palette of brand colors, then you should be using your brand colors. I guess you can probably work out what my colors are by just looking at this. So it should be a really close-up picture of your face, healthy, smiley, happy picture with eye contact, and no sunglasses, no cat, no son or husband, no matter how gorgeous he is. It just should be you. The cover picture should also be on brand, and that should also, if you have something in particular you want to advertise, a book, a particular service, an event coming up, then you can use Canva. And I know Michelle is a great fan of Canva. You can use Canva to create yourself a cover picture and use that as an advertising space if you choose to do so. So that's the first two things, and that's the same as any of your social media platforms. So maybe you can make a note to go and review that across all of your platforms, and then make sure you're including your YouTube on that too, because you can put a cover and profile picture on there and your Google My Business. So next is your headline. Now this is you might know this as your job title. So you might know this as, it might say Gary Smith, Accounts Manager at Unipart in Wiltshire. And actually this is taken naturally from your most recent job title. It's taken by LinkedIn into that space naturally or automatically. Now what you can do is actually change that, and you can put your elevator pitch in there. So your elevator pitch would be the thing that the thing you tell people if you were to be stuck in an elevator with me going up one floor, and I said to you, hey, you look like you're off for a business meeting, or you look like you're off to work. What is it that you do? And you've got the time it takes us to go up one floor in the lift to tell me what you do in a short, snappy sentence that would make me curious if I was your target market and want to find out more about you and get connected with you when we get off that elevator. So here is where you can put your elevator pitch. So I'm not sure if you've ever had any trainings about elevator pitches, or if that's something that Michelle teaches you. Maybe you could post that training or post that resource in this live, Michelle. If not, maybe that's something I can come and teach you another day as well. However, your elevator pitch could be, for example, if I was doing accounts for people, or doing admin, but maybe I'm a virtual PA specializing in email lists. So I could say, I help busy salespeople make more sales by taking on the admin that takes up their time, freeing them up to do income producing activities, something like that. So I help this person, salespeople, do something, make more sales by taking off their email list and doing all their emails. So what do you help? Who do you help? What does that do for them? And how do you do it? I help salespeople make more money from home by having greater online visibility. Who would like to drop into this chat their own elevator pitch? Who would like to do that? In addition, you could also put some keywords in there, because as I said, LinkedIn is a big search engine. So you could put your keywords in there. Are you really clear on what your target market are looking for when they're looking for a service or a product that you sell? So once you've got your set of keywords, once you know what people are Googling when they're sat behind the computer, then you could litter your headline, your elevator pitch section with those keywords too. So, for example, if I was a Facebook adverts expert, I would make sure that I write Facebook adverts in there, and how I help people to make the most of their adverts, maybe saving money on their adverts by doing something for them. So hopefully that is clear for you. Next is the summary. Now, your summary is your about section. And your about section gives you the opportunity not to beat your chest and tell people how great you are at what you're doing, but it also gives you the opportunity to speak directly to your target market. Now, I always think the best thing to do when speaking to someone on social media is just imagine you're speaking to one person. Just imagine you're speaking to that one person who is in your target market, who you know you can really help. What would you say to them in real life? And how would you let them know that you could help them with their pain points or their problems and their challenges that you know that they have in their business or in their working life or in their day-to-day life? Talk directly to them in the summary, and make sure you are littering the summary with your keywords from your research of your target market. So the first two sentences of the summary are really, really, really important, because much like a really long Facebook status, you know, if somebody's written a long Facebook status and you can read the first two lines and then it says see more, it's going to appear just like that on your LinkedIn profile. So those first two sentences, they really need to attract the person that's reading your profile to click see more and read the rest of your summary. So make sure you put lots of focus on those first two sentences. Don't speak about yourself in the third person. Speak to your target market. So you wouldn't say Michelle is an accomplished blah 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 blah, or Ange is an expert in. So you wouldn't speak to as yourself in the third person. You'd speak in the first person directly to your target market. There is no call to action section in the summary. However, it's a perfect place for you to put the summary, put the call to action in the summary. So you could say, you will want to contact me if you, and then you could maybe list some of the key problems that you can solve for your clients. And then I make it as easy as possible for them. If you put a web link in there, they can't click it. It's not a clickable link. But what you could do is say, invite them, send me a message here on LinkedIn, or copy and paste my email address into your emails and send me over an email. The reason that I give people the two options is because sometimes they won't have the option to message you if they're not connected with you, or if they don't have LinkedIn Premium and they've messaged too many people, or they just may prefer to send you an email, which can be a little bit less personal. Sometimes people might be nervous to contact you on LinkedIn, where you can see everything about them, where emails don't really have a face yet, do they? So they might prefer to email you. So a call to action goes right there. Next, there are sections for your work experience. Don't write this like your CV. Again, it's an opportunity for you to let your target market know the experience that you've had working in other places for other companies before you became a businesswoman, before you became an entrepreneur, and let them know what you did in each of those roles that leads you up to having the experience and the skills that you have told them that you have in your headline and your summary. So this takes time, and you may think it's not necessary, but trust me, when it comes to using LinkedIn as a search engine, it's really important that you put as many of your keywords and as many of your key sentences and the things that people are Googling for in that section, and that you really put some proof in there as to how it is that you've got the experience and the skills to do what you say you can do in your summary, and how you can help them in, as you've said to them in their headline. So make sure you are thinking about each of those roles that you had before you became a businesswoman, and what transferable skills and what experience you had that relates to what you're doing today, and make sure that is really well documented there. Don't use bullet points like key holder, accounts, reception cover when necessary. Don't put those things. Make sure you really wow people in that section too, because if they've got down to that section, they're really quite interested in working for you. So it's just another way to bring them closer to a close and to become closer to becoming your client. Next, you can have skills. So it gives you a list of skills that you can choose from. So make sure you can choose up to 20 skills, but I would choose the top maybe 10 that are most relevant to you, and that you can put that you can do those things. Again, that will come up in the search. Next, you've got a recommendations. Oh, there's an awards section and a media section. So you can put in interviews that you've done, podcasts that you've done, and you can also feature those. So they can be kind of pinned under your summary, which is quite nice. I tend to pin any video interviews, and I tend to pin my latest articles, which I'm going to talk to you about next. I'm just going to check the time because I can get very passionate about this subject, and I don't want to be here at 5 o'clock tonight and you will be gone and walking your dogs and feeding your kids, and I'm still here talking about LinkedIn. So then you get down to the recommendations section. Now, recommendations, it's a bit like having a reference. So sometimes you might attach a reference to a CV in the olden days. Sometimes you might put a review or a nice thing that someone has written to you after they've used your services somewhere on your website, what my customers are saying or what my clients are saying. But on LinkedIn, it's called recommendations. Now, the great thing here is that once you've connected with someone you used to work with or that has experienced your services and your product, then you can connect with them on LinkedIn and you can send them a recommendation request. So you click on recommendations, you click ask for a recommendation, then you can search who you want to ask for one. So I could ask for one, for example, from Michelle, maybe after today, and there is automatically like a draft message there that says, "Hi Michelle, can you give me a recommendation?" ? Now I would always modify that and I would edit it to say what I want her to say. So I would say, "Hey Michelle, I recently did a training for your group of businesswomen in Wiltshire and other areas across the UK. And I was wondering if you could give me a recommendation if you felt that I gave them great value when I was talking to them about online networking and their LinkedIn profiles. That would be lovely." And I would send that across to Michelle, and then I would probably drop her a WhatsApp or a voice clip or however I communicate with her off LinkedIn. I would send her a message and say, "Hey, just to let you know, I've asked for a recommendation request on LinkedIn. If you could just reply to that and pop me over a recommendation next time you're online, I'd be super grateful." And she's going to go and look for that. And if she's happy with the service that I've given her, then she's going to leave me a recommendation. So that just adds strength and adds social proof, which is massively important to my profile. So having recommendations off other people is great. It's even more lovely if they just give you a recommendation without you asking for one. And if they are a pro LinkedIn user, they probably would do that, because actually giving people recommendations adds strength to your profile too, because it allows people to see the recommendations that you have given to other people, which helps them to understand what you are like to work with as a person in general. So by reading the recommendations somebody has left for somebody else, then you can get a better idea, a better round picture of them as a person. So make sure you have received some recommendations, but equally important is that you have given some recommendations too. And of course, when you have these recommendations, you can repurpose those because they're public. They're not something that's been sent to you on an email or on a Facebook message or in your private group. Then these are recommendations you could repurpose across your website, your blog, your other social media. You can turn it in, you can take a snapshot and put it in your Instagram, and that's brilliant, brilliant social proof. So those are my top tips. Now for optimizing your profile in brief. Now, how about posting on there? What time of day is best to post on LinkedIn? How many posts should I make a day? No one knows. And do you know what? Anyone that tells you that they know probably doesn't know either, because it changes all the time, and who really can predict the best time, especially now when we're all working slightly different hours and things are very different around the world in the working environment. Who knows who's online when? Definitely the times that I'm online has changed since homeschooling and taking my daughter through her GCSEs this year. And I'm sure that many of you agree that your timetables have massively changed, right? Let me know in the chat if that's the case. So we can't really say when is the best time to post and when is the best time not to post. I generally don't post on LinkedIn on a Sunday. I would post on other platforms, but I don't post that much about business. I don't have a massive clientele in the Middle East where Sunday is their Monday. So I don't really need to talk to them on a Sunday. And I just find business posts a bit icky on a Sunday. That might be a personal thing. But I don't like seeing in my news feeds, what problems are you suffering in your business right now? Let me know below. Maybe I can help. but it's Sunday. I don't want to think about the problems in my business, and I don't want to be telling you them in the public domain either. So no. So I don't really like to write much about business on any platform on a Sunday. So Sunday's out. Saturdays is a bit more relaxed on LinkedIn, and Monday to Friday. What you need to be posting if you want to make a post is things that are relevant to your target market, industry things that are happening, that are relevant, and topical things that are all relevant to your business and your target market. Remember, you're not talking about you, you're talking about your target market. I think any of us that have a platform have a responsibility to talk about some of the major things that happen in the world. And I think that when you have a platform, that it's only right to encourage diversity and to talk about how you can be more diverse in your home or your business, and to talk about the issues surrounding the Black Lives Movement. I think that if you're not talking about those things, it's possibly a bit irresponsible. But I think that talking about politics, that's not politics, that's not religion, but talking about politics and religion, unless your business and your target market are in politics and religion, that's probably something to stay away from over on LinkedIn. Also, remember that on LinkedIn, unlike on Facebook, anything that you write can be read by your target market for as long as it's there. And who remembers to go and delete comments that they've made on people's statuses or posts? Nobody, right? So let's say this: if you make a negative comment or you share an outspoken opinion, or you write something sweary or something non-professional, or you're having a bad day and you just type onto someone's post, this is absolute BS, then that can be seen by your entire target market and anyone that Googles you for the rest of your life. It's much like Twitter in that sense. Whereas if I was to write something jokey on Michelle's wall, or, if she was to call out BS on one of my Facebook statuses, then that would only be seen by my contacts. It wouldn't be in the public domain, but over on LinkedIn, it is in the public domain. Unfortunately, there are many people, mostly men on there, that will tend to pick apart some posts of seems to be successful women or younger women. So there is a little bit of that going on still on LinkedIn. And my advice for dealing with trolls is not to panic. If they don't know you personally, don't take it personal. And you can always delete their comment and block, or you can reply with dignity and professionally to what they've said. So don't worry about if this isn't Facebook Brigade, or the people who have probably got issues in their own personal lives come and be nasty on your post, because it really says more about them than it does about you. So don't worry about that too much at all. And it's very easy to block and report comments over on LinkedIn as it is anywhere else. So how often do you need to post? As often as you have something decent to say. If you've got nothing to say, don't say it. If you have something of value that you can repurpose from one of your other posts or from one of your other platforms, go ahead and do that. Now, the thing that I like most, and the thing that I'd like to encourage you to use most, is the other section over on LinkedIn. So when you go to make a post, it's much like on Facebook, where you make a status, or you can upload a video or a photo. It's the same as when you make a post, and video is always king on any platform. The shorter the video, the better. But in that section, you can also click Write Article. Now, you don't have to be a writer. You don't have to have any technical skills to do this at all. Now, this is what I love, because I have a great website that I paid an amazing woman in Wales to make for me. And it cost me a lot of money. And I couldn't even tell you, ladies, how to log on to my website, because I don't have any patience to learn technology, and I don't have those skills. So to write a blog on my website, even though it says subscribe to the blog, click to read the latest on the blog, I haven't written anything on there, and I've had that website since 2014, so it's a massive waste of space. But what I can do very, very easily is write an article over on LinkedIn, because it's so simple. It's as easy as writing a post in a group. It's as easy as writing a status on Facebook. It's such an easy process. It's called LinkedIn Publisher. Write article, drop in some images. You can even drop in GIFs, which makes it more fun and shows more personality, if appropriate for your business. And there you can write an article, you can put a call to action, and you can put the hyperlink back to your book, back to your service, back to your free booking calendar for people to have a 15-minute chat with you if that's what you do. So it can have a call to action. If you litter your LinkedIn articles with the keywords and talk to your target audience, or you write things that you know will be read and found interested by your target market, then that's super. And when they are Googling for those things, then it's very likely they'll find your LinkedIn article before they find one of your competitors, if you get that right. So I highly recommend, if you don't have any articles on LinkedIn, go away and write 3 in the next week. And those 3, one of them should be you and your business story, one of them should be something topical relating to your industry, and one of them should be a client story, because we all know that facts tell and stories sell. So that's my challenge to you, to go and optimize your LinkedIn profile and go and write yourself 3 articles. And I assure you that if you do this and then you start to apply the absolute rule of social media to engage, to connect and hang out on the platform with people who are your peers, who are your competitors, who are people that you want to work with in your target market, then I'm sure that LinkedIn can become a super successful platform for you. Just a 15-minute daily habit is all it takes. Download the LinkedIn app and turn on the notifications so you don't miss incoming inquiries and incoming messages, which is something that both myself and Michelle have done. We discussed this morning. So there's no point in doing all the work if you're not responding to your messages, so make sure you are on that. And I hope that you've learned something today. Thank you for being a super audience. And please, if you want to reach out to me with any of your questions, do so. My name on all of the platforms is the same as it is on this chat. It's Ange Loughran. And I actually have a 30-day LinkedIn Brilliance Bootcamp starting on the 1st of July. So if you're watching this on the 30th or on the 1st, you're not too late to come over and subscribe and have me as your mentor on LinkedIn for 30 days. We have 350 other professionals from all over the world, men and women from all different types of businesses. And we're going to learn how to be brilliant on LinkedIn all through July so we can have an even better 2020. And the cost of that is just £35. So I'll drop the link in here afterwards before I leave you all to it. So thank you, and thanks again for Michelle, and I hope to be seeing a lot more of you ladies soon. Cheerio!